Hi, and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this reading, I'm going to be doing some quick little love notes from your person. This is going to be a message cards only reading, and there are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the blue Calcite. Group 2 is the clear Quartz. And group 3 is the orange Selenite. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead, which I do recommend using so that you can skip over me shuffling cards in between groups to clear the energy of the group I've just read for and tap into the energy of the group I'm about to read for. So again, I'll give you a minute. Please use the timestamps and we'll get into your reading. Hi, Group 1. You chose the blue Calcite. So I'm going to be getting 3 cards from 3 different decks, and let's see, what does your person want you to know from their higher self right now? Okay, they say, I feel so much joy with you. It's like I'm a kid again. So they may be looking back on kind of the initial stages of your connection, thinking back very fondly with a sense of nostalgia, wanting to move toward calmer waters, more lighthearted and easygoing energy with you. If maybe you've had a fight or a disagreement, things have been a little tense, even kind of energetically in a log jam between the two of you. There's a sense of wanting to sort of free up that vibration. Some of them may be contemplating coming forth to you with some kind of an offer, asking you out, presenting you as something very lighthearted, very fun and free. Not the energy of heaviness and intensity, but something hopefully that would make you smile, start to view them in more of a lighter energy than you've been holding space for them up to this point in time. This can also, though, tie into this idea of some inner child wounds that they are beginning to face, starting to realize. It's coming up into their awareness that may have been an obstacle in this situation in the past, a bit of guardedness on their part. that, recognition is the first step to self-correcting one's behavior. So it feels like, again, that idea of the child, it's very juvenile stage of that, just starting to really put the pieces together, looking in the mirror, maybe for the first time ever, or the first time in a long time, or seeing things from a different perspective, where they may have blamed you or kind of abruptly or prematurely sort of pushed away their ability to invest in the connection, their thoughts, the possibilities for the future that they could have seen with you in the past, and something may have come to their awareness. So this can even talk about like spontaneous epiphanies, maybe even stemming from some inner child healing that you've been doing as well, that has transferred to them energetically, that is really nudging them, coaxing them in that direction to follow suit within themselves in their own kind of specific situation and in the time and manner best suited to them. They also say you are my treasure. So this is really talking about like hidden feelings, secret feelings, not a lot that they are communicating with others around them, but almost like a child trying to covet their favorite toy, or like a piece of candy, a sweet, something like that, where they might not necessarily be ready to step boldly forward and share with the world the feelings that they still have for you. A little bit of timid energy here, as far as not wanting to further tarnish your opinion of them, the potential of what is possible in the connection, almost like wanting to come forward in a little bit of a mischievous manner with this, to loosen up the energy, to create more lightness in the situation, but again, is maybe just the initial steps forward. This can also talk about, again, with that energy of sort of nostalgia, treasuring the moments that you shared together in the past, looking back on kind of the happier times to sort of dispel some of the energy of regret or tension that they had been holding on to for a while, or up to this point, or recently in the situation. They also say, no one lights me up and inspires me like you do. So that can be confirmation of some inner child healing, some work that you've been doing on yourself has been sensed, has been sort of transferred to them energetically. Not that you've done the work for them, but it's almost nudging them in the direction of making up for some lost time, starting to do that healing work, starting to really look at some difficulties that they had avoided up to this point in time. There's a sense with this of you make it look so easy to sort of ride the storms, ride the ebbs and flows, do that deep shadow work, that deep healing within. And it's something that, they may have avoided this. They may have really gone to extreme lengths to kind of numb out or deflect responsibility, or just put their attention anywhere other than what they need to really heal and release within themselves. But it's something about what you've been endeavoring within your own life, that they're starting to become a little more brave in that capacity, not so much fearing the unknown, but learning from your example, maybe even watching you from afar, seeing this energy of a glow up, vibrationally speaking, that transfers through in the photographs that you're posting on social media, anything that you've been very public about, as far as your own personal healing journey, a journey toward triumph, or journey toward abundance within self and in your material world, that they're watching very silently from the sidelines and are starting to really start to question how they've been living their life up to this point in time, any ways in which they've been avoiding responsibility, acting sort of immature, the idea that it's time to put away childish things and start to get very serious about where their attentions are being invested, the kind of life that they're living, the quality of life, the contribution, vibrationally speaking, and in other ways, to the lives of those around them. So this is someone who's starting to get very serious, starting to make those kind of initial plans and preparations for maybe some kind of big up-leveling in their life as well. They also say, it doesn't matter where I go or who I am with, you're all I see. So they may be getting a lot of signs, synchronicities, reminders, seeing your name a lot, seeing people that remind them of you, people who sound like you, overhearing conversations with very specific kind of phrases that you would say that kind of bring them back into this energy of nostalgia. This can also talk about any sort of distractions by way of, superficial connections, sort of like very kind of limited surface level romantic connections. Maybe they had been using sort of spending time with friends, or kind of overworking, saturating themselves in work to avoid some kind of emotional heaviness or discord within themselves. There's a sense of whatever people or situations they had used to sort of numb and deflect, these things are no longer sufficient to sort of keep this person's attentions away from what you really spark and inspire within them. This definitely speaks to soul connection energy here, a lot of past life connection energy here. A lot that they are being nudged and urged to really grow through, to really explore and expand through, on the other side of what might have been a very triggering experience with you, a lot of heavy emotions, a lot of intensity, a lot of shadows that were really brought up, that were mirrored to them by you, that in the past or up to this point they had just sort of pushed away, had run from, fallen back into old patterns or even some coping mechanisms, kind of projecting outward for that satisfaction and sense of relief rather than seeking that and cultivating that within themselves. But all of this is really starting to shift. They're again not finding that satisfaction that they once did in other places or with other things, and it is really prompting them to start to look around, to start to look to you, even tap into you energetically, and to reach for that vibration that you are actively cultivating and have created and worked toward within yourself for their own life as well. They also say, my heart melts every time you look into my eyes. So this person could have been deeply activated by you in the past. This is like spiritual awakening energy right here. All their defenses, all their ideas of what love should look like, what that should feel like, all of these things really just were melted in an instant when they came into contact with you. This may have been very triggering for this person, very overwhelming, very confusing for the two of you. It almost feels like a lot of you went in another direction with this, where you've explored this, you've tried to lean into this, you've tried to sort of figure this out and work with these energies, understand these energies, build within yourself kind of around the experience of whatever was shattered with this person or kind of cracked open within yourself. You've used this opportunity as the stepping stone to sort of better yourself in many ways. And this feels like somebody who really, took the opposite approach, that crossroads point. They use that as a pivoting back into some patterns of fear within themselves, that they're kind of needing to make up for lost time at this point. They're just coming around to that reality of, as much as they have run from this, as much as they've run from the intensity, what's been stirred up within them, what even the thought of you or looking at photographs of you, or if they're able to see you in real time in the real world, just even looking at you, it feels like it sends a surge of electricity through them that points them in the direction, like a neon sign that reminds them of some kind of greater purpose or expression of who they are in the material world, that they really are standing in their own way of becoming. You mirror for this person a lot of the sort of limits to that greatest potential within themselves, vibrationally speaking, a lot of things that they may have avoided for quite some time within themselves. This is becoming more and more difficult to kind of run from. It's the idea of you can run, but you can't hide. So somebody who might be a little bit further behind on that ascension path than you are, but it's almost like a cycle is sort of completed and coming back around to that starting point. This may be something that happens annually or sort of in monthly, weekly, daily, even for some people, or kind of in a larger arc than that, where again they are presented with this opportunity of a crossroads, the path of fear and facing oneself, and the courage to change and release the things that they have the ability to influence, and to accept the things that they no longer have control of, such as the past, come into a place of peace with where they are, choices that have led to this point, and making different decisions moving forward to create a new horizon for themselves, or sort of lean back into that outworn pattern of fear, that path of fear that they have chosen a lot up to this point in time. Feels that they are either nearing that crossroads again, or they're at this place. Each time they kind of round the bend and come to that ability to sort of restart or to make a different decision. They're looking towards you, they're tapping into you energetically, they may be getting a lot of those signs kind of ramping up for them, a lot coming through in dreams that are just, it's this persistence, it's this reminder by the universe that the two of you meeting has not been in vain. It is for a larger purpose, individually for the two of you, and then also in terms of what you have the potential to build with one another. This green energy could talk about some heart chakra blockages, a bit of resistance and overwhelm that sort of goes hand in hand with that this individual is, once again, kind of at this point of, are you going to lean into this, explore this, heal this, work through this, or sort of crumble back into that energy of fear once again, another cycle around before this choice is presented again and again, no matter how many times that takes before they make a different decision in that regard. And they also say, I'm working hard on myself. I want you to be proud of me. So for a lot of you, that decision point has come, that crossroads point has come, and this person is taken maybe even just a tiptoe step into a different direction. They're starting to face themselves. They're starting to learn from your example, lean into that. A lot less fear than they had been operating with previously, or really into the stage of finally facing their fears. They may have a long way to go, but every journey starts with a first step. And so again, it feels that they are nearing that crossroads point of choice being available to them in a very profound, undeniable manner to make some different decisions, to start to do that healing work, to start to do that up-leveling work, to start to step into a better version of themselves than they've been occupying up to this point in time. And for a lot of you, they have already just taken that first step, which is instead of turning away, instead of sort of leaning back in and convincing themselves that they are happy with the limited lifestyle that they've been living, they are happy in that lower or dense or disappointing vibration, that lackluster vibration. They're starting to really question things, to look around, to see past masks and illusions that they've been wearing, that other people have been wearing, and to really start to open themselves to truth and revelation that comes through in terms of external things, and also which comes up from within. They also say, I hope you still love me. So for a lot of you, a substantial amount of time has passed since you were last in contact with this person, and just, take that as it resonates. A substantial amount of time will mean something different for everybody. But this idea of hope can really tie into, this not knowing, understanding that they took you for granted, understanding that, again, they've come to this crossroads point. They've kind of been circling around in the same outworn cycles for far too long relative to you and the connection, relative to their life in general. Hope may be wearing thin for them. It may just be a glimmer of hope at this point in time that they can change. Maybe they are kind of stuck in these self-defeating narratives of, I'm too old to change, I'm too deeply ingrained in these patterns, it's too difficult, it's too frightening, there's too much to lose, there's too much uncertainty, just whatever that narrative is, whatever that security blanket of kind of like toxic belief in self, a lack of self-confidence, whatever that looks like. It feels that energetically speaking, you continue to represent this almost like beacon, like a star on the horizon that is pulling their attention away from almost that tangle of self-defeat that they have been caught in, that they just sort of cloak themselves with, perhaps for quite some time. They may be going through sort of a dark night of the soul at this point. That idea of hope, the star card and tarot can speak to, coming beyond that. There is prayer that is being invested at this point in time, work that is being done, even just that crucial first step of starting to really question, not turning away from themselves and their fears as they may have done in the past, but choosing to sort of lean into things, work on things, accept things, change things within themselves and their environment. A long road ahead for a lot of these people, but it's something where the hope is, it might just be a glimmer at this point in time, but it's almost like every day or on a regular basis, on an increasing basis, they're feeling more and more competent and confident with this sort of choice that's presented itself to them of making different decisions, working on themselves, releasing the patterns of the past that have held them back, addressing those inner child wounds, starting to take personal responsibility rather than blaming others for the circumstances and the predicaments that they find themselves in. They also say, I wish for you to find peace in your heart. So they are very aware of kind of the disruption that they have caused to you, the disappointment, the letdown, based on the intensity of the connection, promises maybe that they made in the past that they were not very good at keeping. For those of you who were ghosted, or this person just, abruptly kind of disappeared from your life. Stuffed down, suppressed their feelings, greeted your cup of love with rejection, whatever that looks like. There is this hope within them that through this process, through this experience, despite everything that has happened, that you find a way to restore yourself. They are acknowledging here that they may not be at a place of readiness to necessarily be that point of restoration, although we did have at the beginning this idea of wanting to come forth and kind of loosen the energy between the two of you. It is still, again, that childlike energy. There's a lot of growing and maturing that this person needs to do. This can allude to the fact that if they come back into your life at this point, it may just be more kind of scattered, confused energy. They're not at a place of full confidence and readiness. They're not standing in their most powerful version of self at this point in time. And so while they have these hopes of what they would like to bring forth to you by way of restoration and apology, reconciliation, moving forward in tandem down a healing path, down a divine soul connection path, whatever that looks like for you, there is a recognition within themselves, consciously and from the higher self level, that they still have a lot they need to work on within themselves and within their own life before they can be that true sort of source of restoration and balance to you in a material sense. And they also say, I know it's you that my heart wants. So again, you are this beacon to this person. You represent hope. You represent inspiration for them. If they had been very overwhelmed by you, by the connection in the past, a lot of them definitely secretly taking note of the changes that you have created in your life. They're seeing you with fresh eyes. They're sort of learning to lean beyond the energies of fear that may have caused them to behave in a certain way in the past. They're still a work in progress, a lot that they need to face and sort of heal and release within themselves before they step into that more balanced and better version of self, that they can really bring you some kind of measurable change, something lasting, something that will be beneficial, that will bring peace and stability to your life and to your heart, rather than just more of this kind of chaotic in and out or even immature energy. So from the starting point right here of kind of this very juvenile beginning, tiptoeing, that baby step kind of energy in a new direction, there's a lot that they're needing to really face and sort of navigate through before they come to the place of being able to reciprocate with you, romantically speaking, energetically speaking, even just in terms of establishing or reestablishing the bonds of friendship first and foremost in a way that is sustainable in the long term for the two of you. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got N, Q, S, J, A, Y, B, Z, and W. So those are your messages, group 1. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I've also launched a second channel here on YouTube. It's called Lady of the Dawn Tarot, And there's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of pick-a-cards and general energy check-ins related to topics such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the clear quartz. So I'm going to be getting 3 cards from 3 different decks, and let's see, what does your person want you to know from their higher self right now? Okay, and they say, I am so lost in the ocean that is you. So that reference to ocean can really talk about some deep and turbulent emotions which have been stirred up within this person. They may have seen something recently on social media, maybe about you, a little bit of spying and lurking energy with that. They may have heard about you through the grapevine, through people that you know very mutually, or this can even talk about a significant dream or some kind of a reminder in the material world that has stirred some deep and unexpected emotions for this person. A lot of feelings they've been harboring, things that have been buried or stuffed down and suppressed, almost like the idea of a sunken treasure chest that has now burst open within them. Things that they are needing to unpack and confront and face about their feelings for you, what has taken place up to this point in time, missed opportunities, words that they may have said, an energy of not appreciating you and valuing you more when they had the opportunity that is weighing very heavily upon them at this time. They also say you are worth fighting for. So this ties into the energy of regret. This person really wishing they had fought harder for the connection, fought through some fears, maybe even with that idea of like hearing about you through the grapevine, fighting through naysayers, people that had other ideas for the type of partner that this person should be investing in. Maybe the two of you are like an opposites attract kind of situation, or there could have been some other sort of details or factors, somebody that was in their ear, that, they took that opinion very strongly. They took that to heart, rather than sort of like listening to their own heart and fighting harder through fear and doubt, in the interest of actualizing the connection, in the interest of preserving the connection, in the interest of standing by you and declaring their love, their feelings, their affection for you in a very public manner. This is also really talking about the energy of wanting to fight through any sort of time and distance, any kind of obstacles or misunderstandings that have occurred between the two of you. This can also allude to someone who's building up their courage, maybe to bring forth some kind of an apology, some kind of an offer, some kind of a compliment, maybe even to congratulate you on something that you've accomplished in your life, a milestone, something that they've only just recently come to discover. Maybe this is something that has recently occurred for you. And if this person comes forward, it can be that confirmation that they've had eyes on you for quite some time, kind of watching from the shadows, and that the energies feel right. It feels appropriate, or they feel more empowered to step forth, to try to bring forth an olive branch, or kind of get those lines of communication open once again, so you can see what's viable in terms of the seeds of potential between the two of you. If you can rebuild, get to know one another again, grow from this point forward in a new and more stable direction together. And they also say, I would just hurt you more right now. I need to be alone. So with that idea in mind of somebody who may be contemplating reaching out, this feels kind of like a battle between the head and the heart. As much as they are confronted with this urge to make things right in the situation, declare and express feelings they might have repressed or denied in the past, there are also parts of themselves that are wondering if it's too little too late, that almost your success, your abundance, the energy you're holding, or the way in which they are now viewing you from fresh eyes, it's really highlighting within them all obstacles, blockages, barriers, and boundaries, internally and externally, that stand in the way from kind of matching your vibration, meeting you at your level. A lot of work within themselves they have deferred, they've not done up to this point in time. They're recognizing you as being slightly ahead in that sense spiritually, maybe even abundantly, things that may have really prospered for you in terms of financial venture, something to do with work or career, prioritizing your wellness, your health, your healing, all of these things. At one point in time, if you were overlooked, if you were undervalued and underestimated, it's almost like this person is putting you on a pedestal at this point. This can also really tie into kind of this cycle, a bigger cycle of almost maybe a fear of commitment or a lack mentality, where at one point in time it was that they weren't ready, or they weren't really sure if you're the person that they wanted to commit to, underestimating you, undervaluing you, and now they're still kind of running around that idea of commitment, like, well, now I see you're too good for me, you've changed, you've improved in ways that I haven't, and I'm not good enough. And so a little bit of a pity party going on, where you might even be sensing almost this very kind of kinetic energy from this person. It's like a vibration here where they're leaning towards you, pulling away, kind of dancing from one foot to the other. Should I reach out? Should I just stay silent? Should I say something? Continue to watch? What should I do? And from this point of kind of vacillation, it feels that this might almost be the tension, the friction, or the momentum that could possibly create an opening, create that leap of faith forward where they throw caution to the wind and make some kind of gesture towards you. They also say, I see you in my future. I visualize all the awesome things we'll do together. So definitely, if they had taken you for granted in the past, they are no longer operating in that energy. There's a sense of having missed out on a very worthwhile investment when they chose to walk away from you, chose to allow you to slip through their fingers, whatever the case might have been. And as much as they are kind of in this back and forth energy right now, they are looking to the horizon to create restoration, to create change within themselves so that they feel good, so that they feel worthy, needing to fight through some fears, obstacles, internal and external, to carve out a new path for what is possible between the two of you. This is someone who's very much aware, either through seeing you from fresh eyes or through work you've been doing on yourself, or some kind of combination of both of those factors, that the way that they approached you, held your energy in the past, presented themselves it's not going to work this time around, that there's change, there's something that needs to grow and develop within them, that you are no longer the same person. The circumstances that existed at one point in time have shifted in dramatic and subtle ways, and so it requires a new approach, a new vibration, a new sentiment, something new that they are emanating and displaying towards you. Rather than breadcrumbs, you're needing something of more substance at this point in time. And it's motivating and very intimidating for this person, the idea of what's required from them and within them in order to really rise to meet you at the place that you have worked so diligently to come toward vibrationally and in your life. And they also say our time apart really gives me time to reflect. I've been able to look at our relationship with more clarity. So confirmation right there of somebody who has changed their mind, changed their opinion of you. They're shifting their priorities. They're focusing on other things. They're starting to see where they went wrong in this situation, rather than just projecting blame onto you, failing to take responsibility. They're starting to really understand. And again, starting being sort of the crucial theme right here, not feeling very empowered to fully step into that energy of change, but they're starting to see how a lot of the difficulties that happened in this situation may have stemmed from some codependency, some people pleasing, fear of commitment, a lack mentality within themselves, that it wasn't that you weren't good enough. It was almost that this person was sort of fearing the necessary change almost within themselves, fearing that best or better version of them that the situation with you really insisted upon or instigated or inspired or sparked. And that this is something where if they had felt very much like they weren't up to this challenge in the past, it was something that, they weren't taking personal responsibility, all of that is really starting to shift within them. You've really given them a lot of food for thought as far as how you've handled the situation, how you've loved yourself back into a place of wholeness, realizing your innate wholeness despite their or anyone else's inability to recognize that, receive and reciprocate that. And it's something that feels like it's a lot of hard truths. It's a lot of hard candy that this person is needing to really sit with and sort of chew on at this point in time. Where these changes aren't necessarily overnight, but it's a very necessary phase of evolution that they are now presented with. You've caught their attention, you've sparked their interest, they are seeing you from a fresh perspective, and it is forcing them to look inside within themselves to any areas of lack, which would make sustaining a future with you difficult or not feasible, or it would just be very counterproductive to that. So by you just living your best life, working toward that, any steps that you've taken to really, raise your standards, raise your vibration, create a sense of balance and wholeness within yourself, it's really inspiring this person to do that inventory within, to follow suit in their own way and whatever that needs to look like for them. They also say, close your eyes and call in Saint Germain. Surround our love with the protection of the violet flame. So this can really talk about this idea of this person needing your love and assistance energetically at this point in time. While they can only do the work for themselves, they would be very grateful if you would send them prayers of healing. If you continue to stand in your authenticity and your power and your personal truth and your light, this is a flame, it is a light, it is a spark that they are trying to reach toward, they are trying to grow towards within themselves and within their own life. This violet purple kind of energy here can also talk about downloads. Again, third eye energy, something that has come to their awareness where they're seeing you in the situation from fresh eyes rather than projecting blame. They're starting to accept personal responsibility and look within to all the boundaries and barricades that stand between a new future between the two of you, or kind of the actualization of the greatest potential of what you might have been in the past and may yet become together in the future. And they also say, I hope you are still the one. So this really ties into the energy of somebody who may be deeply fearing change. They may be very hesitant to take first steps to release some things within their life, within their reality. It's the sense of, if they go on this healing journey, if they grow and if they evolve, will the two of you still be on the same page in some level? A sense even that you have outgrown them at this point, or a fear of that happening that might be creating this sense of urgency for them to start to take action, to start to make some kind of move forward before they fall sort of further and further behind you, and it becomes more and more difficult to do that healing, to do that shadow work, to do that up leveling that is necessary to bring forth something to you that is of measurable value, so the two of you can rebuild into a new and better direction together. They also say, I hope we will always be friends, hearts linked together. So they may be wanting to start very small with you, understanding that it is necessary to completely rebuild the foundation of this friendship. You have changed, they have changed. Time, no matter how long it has been, has altered circumstances for both of you fundamentally and in subtle ways. So again, this idea of they can't come back in the same vibration, with the same tactics, with the same approach that they used before. It's going to require toppling down everything they imagined about this connection, many different aspects and elements of how the two of you interacted in the past, so that a fresh start can begin, rebuilding from the ground up in a more solid direction, in a more stable direction, based on stability that is created within themselves, first and foremost. Healthier choices yielding a healthier vibration to be able to give in a beneficial way to the possibility of a future together, rather than kind of just adding more sort of chaos, confusion, or corrosion to the situation with you, as they may have done in the past. And they also say, I know we needed space to find out who we are. So this reinforces the idea of the time apart in this situation has been fundamentally beneficial to the two of you, as difficult as that may be to see or to realize. At times it may feel very good, and then at other times, there's this yearning, there's this longing to be with one another, feeling each other energetically speaking, and kind of vacillating between that and being very comfortable in your own energy and with whatever the future may hold in this situation. This person's a work in progress, as are you, but they're starting to really, again, kind of create that movement. Instead of just standing in place or continuing to pull further away, continuing to turn a blind eye to what needs to be done within themselves, what they've overlooked in this situation, the opportunity for growth and the realization of a higher level love that presented itself in the situation in the past. This is somebody who's starting to, look in another direction. They're starting to really evaluate. They're starting to lean in. But with that comes kind of this push-pull within themselves. From within that push-pull dynamic within themselves is the ability to create this portal of alteration for themselves. It begins within the change and then kind of ripples out into their material world. So in this process of sort of finding themselves, learning to trust in that process, leaning into any fears that if they take those steps necessary to sort of heal, release toxicity, toxic patterns internally, toxic relationships, anything that they've been investing in that kind of inhibits them from standing in that energy of their best version of self, trusting that on the other side of those changes and growth, if the two of you are meant to realign, come back into one another's lives, and to build something solid and stable with one another, perhaps even just a very deep friend and meaningful friendship, perhaps providing closure to one another, perhaps opening the door to a new experience of romance with one another in the future, then they are in this process of leaning into trust that that will occur, that will unfold in the time and manner that it is meant to. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. I've got D, L, B, H, S, X, R, O, Y, and W. So those are your messages, group 2. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I've also launched a second channel here on YouTube. It's called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of pick-a-cards and general energy check-ins related to the subjects of spirituality, wellness, ascension, and self-love. So if that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, group 3. You chose the orange selenite. So I'm going to be getting 3 cards from 3 different decks, and let's see, what does your person want you to know from their higher self right now? Okay, and they say, my love for you goes so deep. So a lot of long-held feelings, unexpressed feelings that are central to this person's awareness and attention currently. Looking back on old memories, maybe rereading text messages, emails back and forth, replaying interactions that they've had with you or conversations that have taken place in their head. If they undervalued you, underestimated you in the past, all of that is really changing. This is bringing forth the idea of absence making the heart grow fonder. So there may be a significant kind of milestone coming up, some sort of anniversary or birthday something that has really caused this person to get into their feels, get into this emotional space, to open a box of memories regarding you once again, something that may have even come through in the form of like a dream or a synchronicity that has brought these kind of long-held feelings, long repressed feelings for you bubbling to the surface. A sense of not knowing how deeply they would miss you, or for how long they would miss you, or how great of an impact and an impression you had made upon them emotionally and in their life in many different ways, until this sort of distance or separation or even a lot of time has gone by between the two of you. That if this has been a while, it's almost coming as a surprise to this person that they still feel so deeply for you, they still feel so energetically connected to you, but there's also a sense of like this reassurance that you, at one point in time, if they'd been very kind of overwhelmed, they felt very stifled, very limited by this connection in some manner, there's almost that you are functioning like an energetic companion for them, even just in terms of your memory. It's a comfort for them at what might be almost some dark or turbulent times that they are going through, times of change and uncertainty, and almost leaning upon you even energetically as kind of like a crutch or as some kind of an anchor while they are really sort of trying to find their way forward at this point in time. They also say, "You are my dream come true. I am shocked at your existence." So they may have really seen you as something that was too good to be true in the past, aspects and elements of you that they had overlooked previously. As you know, time has gone by, as they are sort of reopening these boxes of memories, they're seeing that you are in fact everything that they have been looking for all along. With that comes this idea of like guilt within themselves. How could they have been so foolish or so blind to this reality in the past? It's maybe somebody who has commitment issues, and that there's this longing and loneliness within them, this crying for companionship that may have come through prayers, maybe even just like disappointment in not having success in other connections and surface level connections, something at a very deep and profound level with this person that was crying out, that was calling out for that counterpart energy, that very complementary energy for them, in a sense of not even truly believing that such a thing would manifest, maybe even like self-esteem issues, kind of a lack of self-esteem rather, that has been an impact upon this person, sort of thwarting them for a while in their life. And when you presented, when you showed up, it's almost like everything that they were looking for, which also triggered or exacerbated that sense of them not being good enough, rather than seeing the potential and the possibility, being very grateful for their answered prayer. There's a sense of questioning that, a sense of doubting that, looking for the red flags, or maybe there weren't any, focusing only on obstacles rather than possibilities and potentials. A lot of regret that comes along with that. A sense of, a romance like this, a feeling like this, maybe only comes around once in a lifetime. And they are now starting to realize how they had squandered an opportunity with you. And there's a bit of doubt as far as if the two of you can course correct at this point in time, or if this is almost just their fate to sit here and ruminate on this for the rest of their days. They also say, "I feel so much joy with you. It's like I'm a kid again." So this card came up in group 1. If you felt drawn to watch that group, there may be additional messages for you there as well. But this can tie into a lot of nostalgia about the early days of your connection. This is like 6 of Cups energy right here. Somebody who's sitting in deep nostalgia for you, wishing that they could turn back the hands of time, wishing they had made different decisions in the past, had appreciated you more, had been less clouded in their view of, what was possible in terms of the situation between the two of you, starting to really recognize how some doubts, fears of commitment, or even wounding from past love or rejection from their past may have caused them to thwart this connection, to sort of push away the blessing of this opportunity that the universe had presented them with in the past. With that kind of needing to self-accept, needing to do that inventory within self, that's a key first step in order to making change. It's coming to a place of peace and forgiveness within ourselves for what we've overlooked, choices that we've made, maybe hastily, maybe out of a place of ignorance or from a place of wounding. Coming to that peace and forgiveness within self first and foremost is that foundational cornerstone to building in a new direction, to then reaching out with that kind of apology, with open arms, asking for forgiveness, bringing forth that energy of self-love and self-forgiveness, which can then really sort of instigate or be the magnet for receiving that from others as well. And so this feels to be something that they're grappling with at this point in time, how to reach you, how to come from the place that they are at right now into forging a new path toward reconciliation, perhaps making up for lost time and really smoothing out any difficulties or hurt feelings from before. They also say, thank you for helping me to overcome my darkest fears and feelings of shame. So definitely dark night of the soul energy here. This person really, again, using you energetically as an anchor at this point in time. Memories of you may be sort of like the highlight of a very difficult process of change and transformation that they are embarking upon, or that has really been presented to them as kind of the gateway to creating change in the situation, change in their life that may be long overdue in kind of a bigger sense. A lot of fear and trepidation with that, and at the same time, something that has really come to their awareness that, again, this is a very unique opportunity with you. You have a lot of those qualities that they have been looking for, praying for, wishing for, that they didn't think existed in another person. And that, the only one sort of standing in the way of exploring, is there still the potential for us to build in a new direction, to sort of recapture the joy that we experienced in the past and to forge a new road together. The only thing standing in the way of that is themselves. So working up the courage, facing those fears, maybe a little bit of kind of clinging to you. You may feel this person pulling on you energetically, or you may feel very kind of tired or drained at this point in time and not really being sure where that's coming from. A lot of that can stem from this acute focus on you, but with that is almost this fearful energy that comes with that as well. Those fears that were really instigated within that person in the past, the feeling of not being good enough, that feeling of lack, that's all still there in that same box of memories. Along with the good times is also, the bittersweet kind of reminders of how they self-sabotaged, got in their own way, or failed to accept and work with the blessing of this connection that the universe had presented them with previously. And they also say, our souls have known each other for eternity. I know we are destined to be together. So this is that energy of reconciliation, wanting to find a way forward, move past these obstructions within themselves, these roadblocks within themselves, seeking relief, seeking a way to kind of build that courage and that strength to free themselves from outdated patterns, toxicity, low vibrational or one-sided relationships, somebody who's trying to make healthier choices for themselves, or find the courage and the strength to start that pattern, to rewrite kind of the future based on different choices in the here and now. There's a sense of feeling very bonded with you, that you are a companion energy for this person through their process of change, through a dark night of the soul energy. You represent hope, you represent a beacon, a point on the horizon that they are working toward. And with that in mind, it almost feels like something that, as these kind of energies of change have sort of snuck up on this person in a lot of ways, this could have to do with like divine intervention or some tower moments. And strangely enough, they found themselves kind of calling out to you, leaning upon you, being really reminded of you, craving your energy around them. And, with that kind of being pivoted into this box of memories, these long held feelings that they have had for you that have not dissipated with time, that they are seeing from fresh eyes. And it's really bringing them to a more broad interpretation of the meaning for the two of you encountering one another in this lifetime. A very activating connection, a lot of past life energies here. This person may be getting dreams or visions of the two of you in past lives together, hoping to work in tandem with you, doing that energetically, starting to realize how, despite any sort of separation or distance between the two of you in the physical realm, you are always connected at that soul level, which is both a reassurance for this person, and it feels that it also makes them feel very lonely. They long to recreate that closeness with one another in a 3D sense. And so for the time being, while that's kind of strained or absent, it feels that they are really pulling on and sort of clinging to that etheric bond that is unbreakable and unshakable between the two of you. They also say, you have helped me face my fears. I am building my courage to commit to you. Yeah, so again, you really have been this light in the darkness for this person. A lot of blocked off heart chakra energy is starting to loosen. They are awakening to a lot of what needs to be healed and released within themselves in terms of patterns of avoidance that may have thwarted this connection in the past, issues with self-esteem, a fear of not being good enough, a fear of being almost swallowed up in a connection that may have happened to them in the past. And once they sort of gained their liberation, swore to themselves, I will never let anyone in that deeply again to manipulate or to contort who I am and how I present myself to the world. Through the devastation of heartbreak of the past, they may have really lost a piece of themselves, and as a result, were very closed off to love. It feels it in a lot of ways as they were very quietly calling out for sort of help and assistance with that in that regard, that kind of wounded energy within themselves. The universe has provided them in the past this connection, the opportunity for a fresh start, for a different experience in love and romance in the form of you and your energy, which is again a gift that they had overlooked. They had pushed aside or squandered that opportunity when they had the chance. And it's now something that they are reflecting upon, how they may have been very triggered and sort of looked at this connection as very adversarial, very confrontational to them in the past. They're almost seeing that you are the best friend that they've ever had, energetically speaking, based on your ability to kind of shed some light on self-created boundaries and sort of limitations and wounds that they had been holding on to within themselves that had been limiting their capacity to give and receive love in a healthy and holistic manner. They also say, I hope you never lose sight of you. So that's a very interesting kind of message there, and it ties into this idea of someone who may have really been swallowed up by connections in the past. So that could have led to sort of a fear of commitment within themselves, that you unfortunately experienced the brunt of this in the past. Someone who wasn't really able to talk about that or properly even kind of conceptualize of that within themselves. They're starting to really recognize that. They may have a tendency to kind of outshine others as well. They may have been with people in their past who are very codependent or needy. And this could have been something where, they almost feared history repeating itself, and perhaps even feared your independence in a way. The fact that you wanted them, you did not need them. And that this is something that it was both a breath of fresh air and at the same time very triggering, as there was this fear of kind of falling back into old patterns that had caused them in the past to really push away the opportunity to experience something different and next level in terms of love between the two of you. They also say, I know love is blind. So this can tie into the idea of being kind of deliberately ignorant to the blessing of this connection, overlooking that, questioning that in some manner. You really representing this dream come true for them. And as much as they were kind of gifted that, they were given that by the universe, there is also this energy of kind of not really being fully sure or trusting in terms of what they were sensing, what they were feeling, what they were seeing, that it's taken time and distance for them to open their eyes in some manner. This person may be in the process of an awakening, going through a lot of third eye activations, a lot of vision, a lot of clarity that is coming to them, downloads that are coming to them that are helping them to see you, helping them to see sort of the larger implications of this connection, something bigger than romance, as kind of the purpose for the two of you coming into one another's lives, a deeply triggering and activating connection. It feels that despite kind of the difficulties or the resistance that this person had presented to you in the past, you continued to show them love. You continued to kind of allow them to be in their most authentic individual self, something that they weren't accustomed to, a fear of being swallowed up, and yet you were presenting something very different than that. And it's something where they were kind of blind to your value, blind to the potential of this, very kind of oblivious or not wanting to really see or trust fully in what they were being shown as far as this situation, the potential with you, not being a repeat of past cycles in love, but really representing that opportunity, that detour from a particular path or road or like a trend that they had experienced in love and romance up to that point. There's a sense here of shaming and kind of guilting themselves at this point in time as well for being so blind to your value, blind to your worth, blind to the depth and the nature of their feelings for you in the past that have persisted after all this time, and that they are starting to really dig a little more deeply into. They also say, I want to offer you my heart. So this can really tie into this very future-minded energy, a lot of healing, a lot of release, a lot of self-forgiveness, self-love that is needing to be cultivated or continue to be received by this person, worked on by this person at this point in time. But on the other side of this change and transition, on the other side of this dark night of the soul energy, this ascension energy, this, again, this healing journey within, a lot of heart chakra healing, inner child wounds, things that they need to release based on kind of betrayal or deception, duplicity, or just kind of letdowns in love in their past. All of that is sort of, it's the barricade to being able to, heal their own heart, fill their own cup, being able to become that yin to their own yang in order to, hopefully in time be able to provide you with some kind of restoration, either peace and closure, maybe building a bond of friendship with one another, or perhaps even opening the door to exploring the deeper layers and elements of what's possible, romantically speaking, between the two of you than they had in the past. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got B, Y, A, L, S, W, I, C, Z, and F. So those are your messages, group 3. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I've also launched a second channel here on YouTube. It's called Lady of the Dawn Tarot, and there's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of pick-a-cards and general energy check-ins related to subject matters such as spirituality, wellness, ascension, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.